Welcome to Texas Platinum, the last of the real water cooler talk shows on YouTube. It is myself, Trevor, joined by both Matts, Matt Madrid and Matt Myers. And we first off want to say happy Thanksgiving to y'all that are watching on Turkey Day. Hopefully we'll get this video out tonight. So for those diehards, you'll be able to watch the day before. But if not, you're a true fan because you're watching on Thanksgiving. So wishing y'all happy Thanksgiving. Texas, obviously, coming off a really big win on the road against Kansas, probably their most dominant game of the season, I'd say, from a full round perspective. Dominant on offense, dominant on defense, and on the road, might I add. So very impressive win that we're coming off of. And Texas has a shot to make it into the Big 12 title. They'll have to win this week against Baylor at home. And yes, Kansas, the team that we just demolished, is going to have to beat Kansas State in order for that to happen. So not quite full in our control, but what we can control is a win against Baylor. So hopefully the Horns are able to secure that. So we're going to talk both Kansas from the previous week and Baylor for this Friday to come. But before we do that, as always, please like, comment, and subscribe, especially if you're new here. Welcome. We do this on a pretty regular basis, especially during the season. So please, we're trying to grow the channel, per usual, and love to see y'all's interaction in the comments. So if you have any thoughts, please drop them below. Guys, I'm going to lead it off with Madrid since yet again he had some law school stuff come his way. But Madrid, how are you doing? What are you doing for Thanksgiving? And kind of give your initial thoughts about the Kansas game.
Yeah, I'm doing fine. Just the middle of final season, so workload is kind of unexpected sometimes. Work too, so you know how it goes. I will be at home chilling with the fam, eating good, sleeping good, watching football. I love Thanksgiving because it's just an excuse to do what I do every weekend, but on Thursday instead. So that's really cool. Initial thoughts for the game. Man, I don't even know. How do we even approach Kansas anymore? Do we say that they're a decent team now? Is the days of oh, this is a trash Kansas team that we're supposed to kill every. I mean, talent wise, yeah, we're supposed to kill, but I don't know. They're having a weird Kansas year. But this is just one of those, especially this game where yeah, Kansas, you're having a good year, but we have the better overall team, which should have happened last year too. But we all know what the internal struggles there were last year. But I don't know. I was watching this game. I never thought we were gonna lose this game. I thought it would at least be a little closer, but it's not a blowout like that. I don't know. I expect us to have a 10-point lead the whole time, and then just them keeping them at bay. But I am more than happy with a career day from Bijan and no mistake football. I feel like that should have been our recipe all year, but we're still learning. But very good sign that we're playing our best football around now.
Myers?
Yeah, it seemed like Chris Beard gave them a pep talk or something because we looked dominant like we did against Gonzaga in basketball. And I was thinking this is probably, I thought, more dominant than the Oklahoma game because it was just consistent in all three phases. There were no really any lapses at all the entire game. I mean, at the end, they got a couple touchdowns in garbage time, but we were just getting, young faces in there getting their feet wet. So, yeah, overall, man, I think the first thing, obviously, game ball, Bijan Robinson. I love that man. We'll miss him very much, and probably have one game with him this last game with him Friday. So gonna cherish that, of course. He's a great Longhorn and future NFL MVP. So thank God for Bijan Robinson. He did what he did: 243 yards, 4 touchdowns, and barely broke a sweat. It seemed like he didn't even have any big runs. He just was gassing them the whole time. So. O-line, man. Shout out to the O-line. After playing terrible against TCU, they were just mowing people down. It was nice seeing Quinn Ewers not having to do much. It was kind of like what we were saying before the game. Just give Quinn an easy game. Don't make him throw downfield. Maybe one shot, and we did one shot, and it was a good ball. But the game plan was good by Sark to just, we got the best running back in the nation. we're playing in cold weather. Let's just go run the ball at them and see if they can stop us. And they couldn't. So, and then not even just Bijan. I mean, Roshan looked good. Hopefully he's good for Friday. I know he got hurt a little bit. But Jonathan Brooks, man, oh my gosh, can't wait to see him as our starter next year. And Jaden Blue got in there. Defense, I mean, dude, this defense is playing better and better every week. It's kind of incredible to see the development because a lot of these guys were like journeymen for us. We've talked about this, Matt and I, like Keandre Coburn, Devondre Sweat, even like Ovia Gofu. These are guys, Deshaun Jameson, these are guys that have been around. We're like, oh, they are what they are. But then at the last hour, Sark and PK have developed them into great players, a great veteran, great leader. So it's good to see that development, and just every week we just seem to improve. I mean, Jalen Ford had another interception. D-line's always getting pressure, causing havoc. So it's just like it's a really good brand of defense that we've been playing. And it sucks that we're pretty veteran led on defense, but you're also seeing a lot of young guys step up. Like Maurice Blackwell gets in there, he makes some good plays. Justice Finkley does the same. So there's a lot of guys that'll be coming back. I mean, obviously Jahdae Barron will be back. Ryan Watts should be back. Jaron Thompson. So we're gonna have a good nucleus back anyways. But it's just a lot of great progress we're seeing, and we're seeing more and more flashes of what this team can be like when they're dominant. We're putting together more and more consistent games. I feel like it's just we just have to string them together, for the most part, every game of the year. And it's been like 2 step forwards, 1 step back this entire season. So hopefully we just keep taking forward steps with this last game, and maybe we'll slip into the Big 12 title. But man, that was a great performance. I did not expect us to win that at all. I thought we'd lose. I bet on Kansas +9. I thought that was like the lock of the century, and I'm glad to have been wrong on that. So I was really, really happy to see the Horns get that win in what am I calling it? Lawrence, after that embarrassment that we saw in Austin against TCU. So great bounce back win for the Horns.
Absolutely. Yeah. I was very surprised by this game. Not so much with how we performed, even though that was a surprise too, I gotta admit. But mostly Sark, because we haven't seen him like really just answer our prayer. I mean, not our prayers, but like, and again, maybe he was watching the show last week with what Myers and I did, but literally our keys to the game, and I'm sure other Longhorn fans too, matched what was executed on the field. You know, not pushing the deep ball with Quinn, and really kind of focusing on the run game in the cold weather. It's obvious, it's simple, but it worked. And better yet, Sark did it, and didn't go against the obvious, which I feel like he's done a lot of, at least recently. He's continued to kind of push particular plays with the offense that haven't quite catered to our quarterback, nor some of our skill players, I feel like, at least for the time being. And that finally changed this week, and it paid great dividends doing so. Bijan was sensational. Again, it's such a shame. All of this is really a shame because the if we just won the TCU game, if we just had a competent offensive performance, like this team would be red hot, and Bijan would be scoring the Heisman conversation. Caleb Williams probably going to win it at this point, would be my guess, but he'd be in the conversation for sure if he just had a good game against TCU and then a game like this against Kansas. Defense continues to ball out. I feel like this team, and also if we did, beat TCU, would we be a lock for the Big 12 title if we had one more win?
I think so.
Yeah.
No, Kansas State would be right there, so we'd have to win this week, I think. Wait, no, we have the tiebreaker. I don't know. I don't know.
We'd control our own destiny, though, right?
Right.
Yeah, we'd control our own destiny.
Yeah. So we'd be in a great position as it is too. So really, it sucks that TCU loss happened in the way that it did, being that we played so well on defense. But and if we were able to win that game and then followed up with a win like this, I feel like what I'm trying to get at here is that I feel like this team is getting hot at the right time. Unfortunately, they should have gotten hot a little bit earlier. um, because I mean, we did have that win against Kansas State, which was great. Really, that TCU game was really just the big offensive slump, but defense was great. So, point in being, it's a little unfortunate, but there's still a chance, again, not fully in our control, of us getting to the Big 12 title. And if we do get to the title, I like our odds, I got to be honest. So, overall, just very impressed with kind of all aspects of the game. We'll kind of hit it over one more time with each of our thoughts here, but any other additional thoughts about the Kansas game? Anything more specific? We'll start with you again, Madrid.
I don't know if it's specific, but I know a lot of people like to measure progress with the win losses and the stats and the numbers, which rightfully so. Like that's a main metric you could use. However, the losses at Alabama, TCU, and Oklahoma State really could have done this team in, like it did in the past. And I know we've talked about this a lot, but it's just that with the TCU loss, it's just another reminder. And then with the response in Kansas, that this team has changed, and there is a culture change there at the very least, and that Texas fans should be proud of and hang their hat on. That is something um, that you can build on. Sark and his staff have established an attitude and an effort level that as a is at least a baseline, which I implore fans to realize, because a lot of the reason we were in the spot we've been in the last decade is just for mere effort and caring. And I think we've finally turned a page in that regard. Now we just got to go out and win the games, which is a whole different story in itself. But I am very excited, just to know that I have a team that's gonna at least show up every Saturday. Um, but yeah, I think about that TCU game a lot too, and it's like, damn, I could have really set the tone for like majorly, even going into like next season. Granted, we still have that shot. If Kansas does us any favors. But yeah, that is the biggest what if of this season for sure. Um, let's see. Secondly, it is real nice to see development in players in like a single season. Like we might have made some of these guys some money this year, and I think that's really cool. And I think that's obviously night and day from last season and their past seasons. Like, uh, Ojimo, Sweat, Coburn could be some solid rotation interior linemen, and they know how to get a pass rush in the interior, which is like kind of overpowered if you think about it. So I think that's really cool. Jalen Ford, a lot of those guys on the defense, man, like that's really cool to see. So I hope we continue that development, because that just attracts wins and losses attract recruits, but also making them better players also attracts recruits. So I think that's a big deal. So yeah, those are just final thoughts there.
Yeah, just big picture wise, I'm trying to think. The last 10 years outside of 2018, this has a chance to be our best season ever in the last 10 years, which isn't saying much, but it's a great time to progress, honestly. If we can finish at 9-4, win the bowl game, not even go to the Big 12 title, but win our last two games, that'd be huge in year two. That'd be a huge improvement. And really what I was trying to get at is while it is a success and we're also better than 5-7 than last year, this team has a lot of, I think this team is better than the 2018 team. I feel like it's a more consistent product. It's less of a flash in the pan, less reliant on just a gamer quarterback. It's more built from the ground up
I was about to say
defensively.
it was like strongman theory in 2018, or hero theory. Like we were getting willed to the Big 12 championship.
Yeah, exactly. So I feel like Sark's building it the right way this year, and we're seeing it. It's just we need to be a little more consistent and just let it bake a little bit longer. But it's just so frustrating to see like how good we are against some teams like Kansas, OU, Bama. It's just like this team is really good at times, like really good, like top 5 in the country good at times. And people will always say that about Texas. Like, yeah, we have 5 stars. They can beat anybody any given Saturday. But like this year actually felt like it because we have like our players playing like 5 stars half the time. So it's just a good sign of progress to see. But I feel like there's a lot of meat left on the bone. But still, if we end at 9-4, I think that's definitely a successful year.
Yeah, it's better than what you guys predicted. I mean, well, it'd match it, not counting the bowl game, because I know both of y'all picked 9-3 at the 9-4, 9-4 at the beginning of the season. I did 9-3. No, 8-4, 9-3. Yeah, but yeah, I mean, I guess just final Kansas thought for me. It's pretty much pretty much what's been said. I again, I feel like we're getting hot at the right time. Um, and maybe I'm a little crazy for saying that, considering that, after TCU, I not just speaking for myself, but Myers and I were definitely a little more down on the team. Um, but it was such a dominant performance on the road in cold weather. Um, and it very much could have been a situation where this team laid down, and they didn't. You're going on the road, chances of going to a Big 12 title are now out of your hands, in terms of, everything lining up. But yeah, I mean, it showed good veteran leadership. It showed good depth. I mean, again, I think Myers mentioned him, but Jonathan Brooks just looked so good. That guy's going to be special. Once Roshan and Bijan leave and give way to him and Keelan, I think that we're going to have a very dynamic running attack. I mean, we already do, but kind of in a different way. They have a slightly different skill set than Bijan and Roshan. But that coupled with a good receiver room, I think would really be a very dynamic offense. So that's great to see. The offensive line, continuation is great to see. Seeing DJ Campbell get a lot more snaps, I think, is good as well. He's one of our highly recruited guys, someone that, a lot of people were very keen and high on. So I think it's good that he's now getting a lot of reps, and going into the offseason, my assumption is that he'd probably take one of those guard spots. It'll be curious to see what Junior Angelau does, and if he decides to come back, because I think if you add him to the puzzle, not the best at run blocking, but very good. I mean, pass blocking, but very good run blockers. So I think that our offensive line can really be pretty good next season too. So it's all kind of coming together. Just, there's a few losses that we really wish we had back, even outside of the Bama game. You think about Texas Tech. To me, that's the one that's just the biggest, shake your head kind of a loss. Oklahoma State, was a close one. And, some of those other ones, I feel like TCU were pretty close as well. So, yeah, we'll see. But all in all, good game, good performance. Surprising, I thought, but at the same time, that's what we're capable of doing, and let's see if we can do it again this weekend. Anything else on Baylor, or should we move on? I mean, Kansas.
No, I think what I want to tie it up in a bow. I think we kind of got overall our big picture at the end is that you can see the seeds for next year, just in the depth. Like a lot of these guys that helped us win this year and keep us afloat this year were kind of older guys, in like the main positions. But next year is like the evaluation year. So I'm excited, but also kind of nervous. But I think it's trending in the right direction.
Nice. Now Baylor. Baylor Bears come in. They're having a bit of a disappointing year following, what was it? They won like 12 games last season, 11, 12 games, Sugar Bowl win, conference title win. But they did lose, I feel like, a fair amount of players to the draft. But all in all, they have a team that, shouldn't be overlooked. They're only one loss behind Texas, and kind of similar in some ways. Myers, how about you give a bit of a scouting report on Baylor?
Yeah, Baylor definitely has taken a step back this year, but they're still very well coached. I mean, that's the first thing you notice about Dave Aranda. He's kind of a psychopath. Like he's a great coach, and they're 6-5, but they've had a lot of close, heartbreaking losses, kind of like us, just a couple more. But they were in that Big 12 title race, and they were in a good spot until TCU hit that game-winning field goal last week, which I felt like Baylor was the better team that entire
Mhm.
game. TCU somehow pulled it out, but yeah, I mean, they averaged like 34 points a game. Blake Shapen at quarterback. I mean, he looked really good last year in the Big 12 title when they subbed him in for injury, but I don't think he's been that dynamic this year. They're more of a balanced team. They got a good running back, Richard Reese, and also have Squirrel Williams. So they have two good running backs. Um, but they're a run first team definitely with just good offensive line and defensively. Dylan Doyle still stands out. I mean, the guy that transferred over from Iowa. He's got a bunch of tackles, and they have another good safety. I forget his name, but they're just a well-coached team, balanced. Nothing really stands out. I mean, Monterey Baldwin is dynamic receiver on the outside. He's very fast, so that's one guy that could burn us if we're not careful. But they're just I would say a balanced team. That's what Sark kept on saying in his press conference about them, and I think that's true. And they're definitely a team that in state teams like TCU, Texas Tech, Baylor, especially they're going to play their best game against Texas for sure. So we have to be expecting their best shot, which I'm sure we'll be getting. And also, it's in DKR at 11 a.m. at after Thanksgiving. Of course, they just give us this slot every year against some small team. It's going to be like a half-empty stadium. It's going to be cold and rainy, so it's going to be kind of probably a disgusting game to watch or to go to. But we can run the ball and hopefully get out of there with a win. But it's a well-coached team.
Madrid, anything?
Yeah, I'm glad you touched on the balance of that team. I think it's balanced in the sense that like they run pass, but like every skill player they have is pretty fast. They're not physically imposing, and they're not gonna moss you, and they're not gonna like tear through the tackles. But like they hit an edge, like they're gone. I think I really like Richard Reese as a back, but it is a committee there. Um, so we'll get a nice healthy dose of both those guys. But yeah, I think one thing that I'm most scared of is just the speed, um, and just also like if you're not a big dog, if you're not Texas, if you're not Bama, if you're not obviously a big state school like that, you want to be like Baylor. You want to be able to have a few guys that you can count on, but also just know that you're coached well and the effort's all there all the time. And then sometimes magical things happen, like last year for them. Um, but overall, like Matt, I don't like the optics of this game at all. Like, I feel like this is one of those like you could lose and no one's watching type shit. Like, I don't know. I mean, I'll be at the game, but I'm not expecting a very active crowd. Um, but other than that, I just think that being able to match because I don't. They're gonna somehow Baylor's gonna be super energetic on 11 a.m. on Friday. So matching that type of energy is probably key. Because I remember the last 11 a.m. game I went to, and half of our guys were still asleep. So that's a little scary. So we'll see.
Yeah. Uh, Baylor is definitely a team that, has the ability to, again, it's a repeat of everything we've said, but I feel like it can't be said enough. They just play really hard. And, you know, they hate Texas probably as much as Texas Tech does. Probably on the equal playing field, I'd say. There's a definite, one-sided rivalry there, or one side of hate. And yeah, they'll be there. They'll be ready for this game. They do not want us to make the Big 12 title. So they're going to do everything in their power to make sure that we don't. So we got to be ready for that. The weather is definitely going to be something that, weirdly enough, I feel like both teams are capable of dealing with it, though. Baylor, their run game is kind of their bread and butter. For us, that's kind of become so, especially after last game. So I feel like it's going to be a very ground heavy type game. I'm curious what the weather will actually be like come game time, because again, you never really know. Sometimes it says it's going to be rainy, but then when the ball gets kicked off, there's no rain. Um, or it can be in a situation where um, I think it was like 2015 or something like that, where it was like Texas, Kansas State in DKR, and it rained the entire game. That was a wild game to go to, but that was like all run. So I'm very curious to see kind of what the weather actually turns out to be like, and that'll definitely have an effect on the game. But I mean, again, the weather, I feel like, caters to both the strengths of Texas and Baylor. So I think it'll be a very even match, considering that Baylor's got a pretty good defense. Texas defense has really stepped up over the back half of the season in particular. And then our run games have both gotten much better, I feel like, over the course of the season. So strength on strength should be a good one. Any other thoughts about Baylor, or should we hop into keys to the game?
I'm good. I just don't want to see Blake Shapen do his thing against us. He's looked pedestrian, good, like game manager the last couple of weeks.
Yes, dude.
But
Yes.
let's just keep it going because we made Jalen Daniels look real bad. I know he's rusty, coming back from injuries, but let's keep that going. We made Max Duggan look bad. So let's keep this trend going because it's looking good for the defense. So that's just one of the main things I'm watching.
All
No,
right,
same. Absolutely.
let's do keys then. Madrid, how about we lead with you? You got a
Yeah.
good key to the
So
game?
I literally thought of this right when Matt said this trend. I want to see like back to back, like just because we can do to Kansas what we did to Baylor. Maybe not that much of a route, but like it's in the realm of possibility. And I would just like to see the defense and special teams and offense all play at the level that they can at the same time. They talk a lot about complementary football, but like that's what literally wins games all the time because it makes decisions a lot easier. Um, but just be able to just play with that type of tempo and that type of I don't know. There's a lot of things from the Kansas game that I really enjoyed uh watching for obvious reasons, but just be able to do that like back to back would be really nice. Well, I was gonna try one thing. But anyways, and again with the quarterbacks, like I think we've done a better job recently of not making the Donovan Smiths and other quarterbacks look like Cam Newton. So as long as we can control their production from the quarterback position, which I think coincides with the defensive line being playing at a dominant level, I think it'll all work out.
Yeah, for me, it's two big things. Number one is dominate the trenches, both O line and D line, because last year Baylor was just phenomenal at the point of attack. Like I thought they would push around Georgia or Bama if like they were that good. This year they're not quite that good, but they still have dudes. They're still well coached. They're still very physical. And last week we looked so good in the front line. So just kind of keeping that trend going, which is just it's invaluable for the trajectory of the program just to have our O line continue to play like that. We're not going to lose to many teams at all if we do. And same with the D line. They're getting after people now, which is really nice to see. So that's number one. And number two is just be more disciplined than them because they're so well coached. We always talk about this with David Ronda, but they're a type of team that it could be one of those weird Big 12 games where we have 12 penalties, they have zero. It could be like that. That's the type of team that could happen to in a weird spot. So avoid that, be disciplined, and dominate the line to scrimmage because if you dominate the line to scrimmage, I feel like against Baylor, that's just a huge green flag for the program, a great sign. So yeah, those are my two keys of the game.
All good keys. I guess my one key to the game would be come out fast and try to get on Baylor ahead of time. Because while Baylor is a very well coached, hard playing team, you think about it, and they really don't have a lot to play for. It's not really going to affect bowl standing for them. They're not going to the championship game. This isn't like their senior day or anything. It's just the last game of the season that's on the road. It's going to be cold. It's going to be rainy. So I feel like if you break their hope early, they're just going to kind of lay down. Probably not too much, they're still going to fight because it is Texas for them, and it is their last game, and this is Dave Aranda that we're talking about. But I still think that if you get a lead early, you have a good shot at controlling this game. So I think that's the biggest key to the game, as well as, just continuing to rely on that running game and maybe try airing it out with Quinn a little bit, but definitely don't have that be the end all be all or the big featured, component of the offensive attack, especially with weather. Just rely on the people that got you in this position, and Bijan and your line offensively has done that, and defensively just keep doing your thing because you're doing great, and you should be able to contain the Baylor offense, I feel like. So, yeah. All right, let's transition over to score predictions then to cap out this episode. Myers, let's lead with you. What are your predictions for the game? Oh, and I will mention, sorry, 8.5-point spread, that current line between Texas and Baylor. Texas favorite.
Interesting. What were we
obviously.
for Kansas?
I think that
9.
was 9. Yeah, so right about the same.
They love us.
They do. They do. So keep that in mind.
Yeah, so I feel good about this game, and honestly, don't listen to me because I've been wrong pretty much the last couple of weeks. Madrid's been on fire, so his prediction is probably better than mine, but I feel good, man. I feel like this is a very mature team we have, a very veteran-led team, and I feel like on senior day, in a game that's honestly a must-win for us if we want to have our chance to go to the Big 12 title, hopefully, if Kansas takes care of business, then I feel like we're going to show up, even if DKR is dead. I feel like there's still stuff to play for. I feel like the seniors, regardless, want to be sent out the right way, like Roshan and Whittington, Kristen Jones, Coburn, guys like this. I don't think they'll let themselves lose on their last game in DKR. And I think Sark kind of found something last week, just realizing, look, we got Bijan, we got this good young O line, we got horses behind Bijan. Let's just run the ball. And I think we're going to be able to continue to do that at will against Baylor, even though Baylor is probably a more challenging defense than Kansas. But still, I think that we're going to have success in the ground. And I think Quinn will play within the offense, be a game manager, and I think we'll play a great performance again, keep it going. And I think Texas wins this one 35-10. I think the defense dominates their offense. I don't think Baylor's that dynamic of an offense, and I feel like our defense has been so hot. I feel like if they just show up and play like they've been playing, I feel like it's going to be a really good day for our defense, and then our offense will just wear on them. We won't blow them out. I guess we will. 35-10 is a substantial win, but I feel like it's going to be a steady beat down, hopefully. 35-10 Texas.
I
Madrid.
like that. So yeah, I got a good feeling about this game too. There's a lot of things going in our favor. Yeah, I don't think the seniors. I think last year those seniors got a raw deal, and I don't want to. They want themselves to have that too. It's last game in DKR has got to be something special for them. I can only imagine what it's like. And if there's a chance to go to the Big 12 championship, they'll play their hearts out for it. So, I think we could really run all over them like we did Kansas and just dominate the line of scrimmage. I do think that's a strong possibility that does happen. 8.5 points. I like us to score a little more, a little more, one more touchdown than you think, Matt. I think it's 42 to like 21, and I think in a way it'll be close in some periods, probably like the second quarter, but I think we can really wear them down, and putting it on Bijan's back is no. I mean, it could be Bijan's the last game for all we know, so why not just let him go out and and a blaze of glory. So I think we could really control this game, especially with the way the interior D line is playing right now. I'm very confident in their ability to get to the quarterback, which is something I've been waiting forever to say, and to feel confident about saying too. I love a good interior pass rush. So yeah, give me 42-21. And we pray to God and cross our fingers that Kansas and Jalen Daniel show up.
I like it. I like it. Well, we'll round it out then with 3 win predictions. Mine's going to be the closest, though, of the 3 of us. I got Texas 35-27. Mostly because, again, kind of what I mentioned earlier about the weather and everything. I think it favors both teams. And I do think that Baylor is going to give it their all. I do see them, if we handle business early, like I said, I do see them potentially slowing down and laying down, and then maybe in garbage time they get a touchdown or 2 to make it a little closer. But I don't think that Texas will just completely run away with the win, given the weather, and given Baylor's, defense, which isn't a world beater defense, but is very solid, I'd say, especially when they play up to par. So yeah, I have it being kind of a close game, but really don't see us losing this one, for all the same reasons that y'all mentioned. I think it's great that selfishly, I don't think it's great that we play on Friday, because it'd be great to actually see a full stadium and not a half full one on a Friday that students aren't even going to really be there for. But with that said, for our players, I think it's good because they don't have that distraction of, knowing whether or not they have a shot to get into the Big 12 title, because Kansas is going to play on Saturday. So they're just focused on themselves. That's all they can control at that point. And there's really not going to be any looking ahead or looking to the side. It's going to be all focused on themselves. And I think Sark even mentioned that in a press conference this week, that the timing of it probably is best for, a team that's not, shall we say, used to winning big games. So I think that favors us a little bit and kind of helps with some of the inexperience. While our team isn't entirely young, in terms of winning experience, it is a little bit on the younger side. So yeah, I have Texas winning a close game, not quite covering the spread, but winning pretty comfortably. So yeah, all 3 wins. And at that point, it's a matter of just, can Kansas do it? They have the ability to do so, I feel like. But their team has kind of slid off, I feel like, towards the end of the season. But I mean, I think I saw like a clip on Twitter or something of like Jalen Daniels or Jaden Daniels or
Jalen.
We always get it mixed up. But yeah, but him, I think like a year or so ago, like talking about like for him the biggest game is, that rivalry game against Kansas. So I'm just hoping that he has a just a baller game, like he did earlier on in the season, and secure that so we have a shot at TCU again in the championship. That'd be massive. And in that case, it may not be Bijan's last game, because if Kansas doesn't pull off the upset, and I think this will be Bijan's last game if we don't make it to the conference title, because we'll be playing in a bowl game that probably won't be that high up there. I don't see us going to the Sugar Bowl if we don't make the Big 12.
They got us projected for the Cheez-It Bowl.
Yeah, so
Let's go.
I don't think Bijan's going to be wanting those.
What do you mean he
Cheez-Its.
doesn't want to play in the Cheez-It Bowl? Well, his loss.
I'd rather
Right.
play in the Cheez-It Bowl than the Alamo Bowl against some garbage Pac-12 team. I don't like
Sure.
playing the Pac-12. So give me the
That's
Cheez-It
fair.
Bowl or the
Yeah.
Sugar Bowl. We'll back into the Sugar Bowl maybe.
Well,
Yeah.
Sugar Bowl, maybe he would, but I don't know. Point is, like, this may be his last game, so like treasure it, and I really hope that Sark features him well. And yeah, please, in the pass game too. Like, again, Myers and I say just about every show, just pass the damn ball to Bijan. He's going to do some spectacular things. So hoping that this is another career game for him. Go out in a flash of glory, or just another precursor to a great game the week ahead if we make the championship. So, any other final thoughts before we wrap things up here?
No, I'll just say hook 'em, Rock Chalk Jayhawks. USA plays England at that same time, so go USA and
Go
soccer.
America.
And
Yeah.
just a brutal draw, honestly, in terms of scheduling, because that's happening. And then Texas is playing like men's basketball, I think, at the same time. No, it's Saturday. Never mind. But anyways, hook 'em horns, Rock Chalk, and go USA.
Madrid, anything?
Yeah. Have a happy Thanksgiving. Enjoy being very lazy, and think of me when you're doing it. Okay.
Definitely do that. Definitely do that. We'll think of your face. All right, guys. Thank you all for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. And maybe see you next week if Texas gets lucky here and makes it the championship game. We'll totally have a video preview for that one. But if not, maybe it'll be a couple weeks once we get a bowl game figured out. Then we'll be back for a show then. So don't panic. We'll be back. But yeah, y'all stay put. Enjoy it. Hopefully Texas gets to win. Happy Thanksgiving. Hook 'em.
Yo.